Hey everyone, how's it going? My name's Mayuko and welcome back to my channel where we talk about tech, career, and life. So a really good friend of mine from college reached out to me the other day and asked me, Mayuko, how do you manage a side hustle alongside a full-time job? He asked like a bunch of great questions relating to how to manage your time, how to balance these things, what to think about when embarking upon a side hustle. So I wanted to make a video about it. Because I thought maybe y'all are like working and maybe you have a little bit of time now with the holidays or because of COVID. And so maybe you want to start something new, like a side hustle. By the way, I'm going to use the term side hustle here, but like it doesn't have to be a hustle. I kind of think of it as like whatever you'd like to do seriously and spend a lot of time on outside of kind of your main role. Unfortunately, it's called a side hustle because all America can think about is hustling for money, but you know, it's whatever you want it to be. I also think the advice that I'm going to talk through today also applies to students who are looking to work on a side project as well. By the way, maybe you're looking to learn something new as a side gig, or you want to learn something very specific about the side gig you're already doing, then I really want to recommend Skillshare, who is the sponsor of today's video, as a great place to do that. Skillshare is an online learning community for creatives where millions come together to take the next step in their creative journey. They've got courses for everything from web development to photography to personal branding to art and illustration. One really great course to learn more about how to have a successful side gig is this one by Andy J. Pizza called Make Creativity Your Career: 6 Exercises to Create a Successful Side Project. It kind of helps guide you through all the different things that you should think about in creating a side project, and it kind of takes it from the angle of creativity, which I thought was really cool. Skillshare is curated specifically for learning, which means there are no ads, and they're always launching new premium classes so that you can stay focused and follow wherever your creativity takes you. And it's less than $10 a month with an annual subscription. So check out Skillshare. Only the first 1,000 people to use the link in my description box will get a free trial of the Skillshare Premium membership. Thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring, and now back to the video. Quick background, by the way, I did this whole YouTube thing as a side gig for 2.5 years alongside my full-time software engineering role. I would spend anywhere from like 1 to 20 hours a week working on this thing, and sometimes I would travel for work, but really it was just like making content for you all, really. I tried a lot of different things along the way and learned a lot on how to work on a side gig effectively, at least what's worked for me, so I wanted to share this advice with you today. So let's dive in. So I think one of the biggest questions that most people have when starting a side hustle is to figure out how to spend your time. Like figuring out how much time should I dedicate to X thing and how much time do I actually have to work on this stuff. And my advice is really just to be realistic about whatever time you have. Because you know what? Being an adult and living life takes a lot of time because we're all busy in our own way. Like maybe you have kids or older folks to take care of, and or your main job is just really demanding. And as much as we'd like to like stretch our time and have more time than we do on this world, we have to be realistic, or else I feel like we're setting ourselves up for failure. So the thing that I figured out over time when figuring out how much time should I spend on something is to start small. So start from like 1 to 2 hours a week on the thing, and then every week just kind of like grow it or lessen it and kind of see how that goes. Granted, every week is probably gonna be different because we're not machines and life has ups and downs and waves that come and go. So it's always gonna change probably week to week, month to month, but just getting a general idea of, is it 1 hour a week or can I give 10 hours a week? Like, that's an important question to ask yourself. The second thing about having a side hustle is kind of a motivation factor. Basically, what I think really helps is to figure out what goals you have and what you want to achieve with this thing. Because if you're doing like a main full-time thing or whatever, then it can be really hard to find the motivation to do a side thing because it takes a lot of time and energy to do the main thing. Like there were a lot of times when I was doing YouTube early on that I was like, I don't want to do this at all because I am so tired and I don't know why I even started on this journey to begin with because I have no energy left in me. But one of the things that really got me through was to think about what I want from this thing to begin with. So I think it's really helpful to identify this before you start out, and it's also important to reevaluate and re-identify as you go along. Like, are you trying to get joy from doing your side thing? Or maybe it's gonna give you a step up in your work at your main thing. Or maybe it's gonna help you achieve a lifelong goal, or it's gonna give you something that your main thing does not give you already. For me, doing YouTube as a side thing was a great creative outlet and was a way to kind of learn skills that I would never have learned as a software engineer. Not to mention I just liked YouTube, and so it was kind of like a fun, interesting hobby sort of thing for me too. And so as part of this, sometimes it can be helpful to set kind of a loose milestone that you're trying to aim for. I say like a loose milestone because sometimes like setting it in stone can create a lot of pressure and then just take away the whole fun of it to begin with. But just something that you're trying to reach towards is kind of the vibe that I'm going for. And so I wouldn't stress yourself out too much about it, because if you're gonna beat yourself up for like not reaching it, then I feel like there's no point. But it's always helpful to be working towards something, working towards the life that you want, working towards finishing something that you've always wanted to, or attaining things. Those are really great ways to remind yourself when the motivation is low why you're doing this in the first place. So after you've evaluated realistically how much time you have, and then also identified like why are you interested in doing this at the first place, then it's really just all about identifying and fine-tuning your life balance. One main point in this that my friend asked me about is, how do you balance between your main work and your side work? I think the answer is different for everybody depending on the nature of your main work, but I was working a 40-hour salary job, and so I set boundaries where I worked Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, sometimes more if it was absolutely needed and it was crunch time, but after 5 o'clock, it was me time. And I always put my full-time role first because as someone who's pretty risk averse, like I didn't want to endanger my employment prospects at my full-time role with my side hustle, basically. So for me, it was always full-time role first and then side hustle second. But again, you might do this very differently from me depending on what the side hustle is and what the main hustle is. It's all very subjective, but that's just what worked for me. And so far as like time and energy management goes, I tried a lot of different things to achieve that balance. And for me, there wasn't like this perfect thing that always worked because again, life comes in waves, things go up and down, life is never as consistent as you think it would be. But some of the things I tried were working on my side hustle in the morning before work, where I have like my bestest, freshest brain that I could give to the thing that I was passionate about, and then go to work. And then when I'm done with work at 5 o'clock, I can just potato and not worry about it anymore. There were other times where Monday through Friday, I only worked on my main job, and then Saturday, Sunday, I worked on my side hustle. And then there were really just times where like I did my main job, and then one of the days of the weekend I slept so much, and then I kind of just like snuck in time for my side hustle whenever I was feeling up for it. I think it's actually really important to develop this skill to understand what your needs are at the moment, because that's how you're going to avoid burnout and overwork, which can kind of affect the rest of your life. And life is always going to change too. Like maybe you hit a certain age and you're like, you know what? I've got to sleep way more than I have been in the past because my body needs that. Or you just need like more rest time, more nothing time, and that's okay too. So I told my friend all of these things. Be realistic about the time that you have, figure out why you want to do it, and also make sure to understand your needs and keep a balance. And he said, that all makes sense to me, but like, how do I not beat myself up about a lot of this? And it's really tricky because we're really critical about ourselves, and sometimes we'll deny ourselves of our own needs in service of what we feel like we should be doing. And to that I say, I think one of the most important things about working on a side hustle is to take care of yourself. This is where I like really hate the word hustle, because it's, I don't know, the word hustle to me means that like you're compromising your well-being to hustle in something else, when I really think you can achieve a balanced working style to get what you want out of life, basically. Sure, it might take a little bit more time, but life is all about enjoying the in-between and the journey along the way, and not about arriving at the destination. So yeah. So taking care of yourself means making sure that your needs are met. Like, make sure to rest, make sure to create time to like do nothing. Again, we're not machines. Like, I don't know why people always think that human beings can be machines and always output so many things all the time, because we're not made that way. It is okay to make compromises. Like, some weeks you just want to order takeout because that's all you have time for, or you're willing to compromise your sleep because you really want to get this thing done. But I think like just making sure that when you're looking at the big picture of everything, your needs are met at some point, and that it's not a pattern to always be compromising what your body needs. And I think outside of the physical things, taking care of yourself also means taking care of yourself emotionally as well. So don't judge yourself if you feel like you're super terrible at what you're doing as your side hustle, because chances are you are new to this thing. And why would you be super perfect at it at the beginning? Everyone starts from somewhere. And so don't judge yourself too hard. Don't beat yourself up. Be kind to yourself, because you're starting something new, and that's great in and of itself. I mean, for like a solid year, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what the heck I'm doing with YouTube. I'm so bad at this. And I would compare myself to YouTubers who had been doing this for 5 to 10 years, who had perfect videos publishing every week. And of course, I wasn't gonna be perfect at it, but I was trying. And after I realized that I don't have to be perfect at it, I just have to make little things better here and there every so often, I was eventually gonna get there, you know? And now look at my setup. It's so pretty. I'm so proud of this. But this is like 2.5 years in the making of figuring out what works and what doesn't. So yeah, everything is a journey. Like, starting a side hustle is honestly, I think, the hardest thing. Keeping up with it is even harder. And so make sure that, you know, you're taking care of yourself in the process. So, bonus round, my friend also asked me, how did I know when to take the leap to convert my side thing into my main thing? And honestly, I could make like an entire video of this, but I wanted to just address it super quickly in like a minute. So for me, the way that I knew was, number one, financial stability, making sure that my side hustle was going to afford me the salary that I needed to live. Number two was to give myself a trial period for this. I told myself that I'll do this for 6 months and then reevaluate if it keeps making sense. If it doesn't, then I'll go back to a software engineering job. And if it is making sense, then let's just keep going and reevaluate every few months. And the third thing was to figure out whether it was something that I could actually enjoy spending 40 hours a week doing, by taking a couple of vacations here and there and doing like Monday through Friday 9 to 5 simulations of this thing. So yeah, it's basically just like collecting and examining past data and projecting future data in many different ways. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. I really enjoyed having YouTube as a side gig, but there were times where I just like didn't post videos for like 2 to 3 months just because I couldn't. Work was too intense, or I just really needed to rest or something, and that's okay. That wasn't the end of the road, and I'm here now. If you have any specific questions about how to do this side gig thing, then let me know in the comments down below. I will try to get to them to the best of my ability, but realistically, I'm most likely to answer within the first 2 days of posting this video. If you like this video, then make sure to subscribe. I'm almost at like 400,000 subs, which is like absolutely wild, and I would love for you to be one of them to get me there. Anyway, I hope you all are doing well, staying cozy and comfy during this holiday season, and I will see you next time. Bye!